It is your Classic Metal Show right here on theclassicmetalshow.com. That, of course, is Red Rain from their self-titled EP. Name of that tune is Not That Way, and the guy that backs the band in more ways than one is drummer Sammy Lee. Sammy, how are you, man?
I'm fine, Chris. How you doing today?
Excellent, dude.
Awesome.
Well, dude, for people that don't know, obviously we know each other, but for people that don't know anything about Red Rain, because let's face it, it's you guys have been a local band for a lot of years, but you're just now getting out to the world, I guess. So maybe a good place to start might be to give people a little bit of history about the band, where you're from, how you got together, that kind of a thing.
Sure. So we're a band out of Richmond, Virginia. Bubba and I, and Bubba is the singer and guitar player. Bubba and I have been in a couple bands around Richmond, starting in the late 90s into the 2000s. And we'd always been in sort of original cover bands, and we decided that we were just going to do an all-original band and just have fun with it. And along the way, it was him and I, and we brought on Larry Moore, who was the bass player. And then eventually we brought our final piece of the puzzle, which was Stevie Shred, into the band. We've played the scene many, many years. We've done a little traveling outside of that, but we were fortunate enough to get the band going, write a bunch of good songs, in my opinion, and that was the beginning to where we are now. But we're lucky enough to hook up with Chip Ruggieri of Chipster PR, and we got with Chip and move forward into rearranging. We put out I'll lead back up a little bit. We released a CD called Chasing Shadows, which was a full-length 10-song CD. And what we did to kind of shorten this up is we took 5 songs out of that, rearranged them, reworked them a little bit, and that's where the EP is now.
Sure. Now let's talk about those songs specifically.
Sure.
You worked with David Ivory, who's pretty well known. For people that don't know, they can certainly Google his name and find a million positive things about him.
Sure.
Talk a little bit about how difficult it is to redo songs and rework them. And the reason I bring that up is, you guys released Chasing Shadows. You have a very specific way that you not only recorded them, but you've played them out for years. And now they're all rearranged, and there's different vocal parts, and some songs are slower, and, the whole feel is different. How difficult was that for you, not only you, but you as a band, to really kind of change your mindset on songs that are, ingrained in your head?
Right. That's a good question. And the funny thing is, Chris, out of the guys in the band, I'm probably the most difficult when it comes to change. So when we realized we were working with David, and just to give you a little bit about David's credentials, David was the producer for The Roots when they won their Grammy. He has worked with Hailstorm, amongst many bands. You're right. Look him up. You'll see great things. David was an unbelievable guy. But when we had heard we were going to be working with David, the guys kind of took me aside and was like, look, if we're going to do this and we're going to move forward, you got to be open to change. And so that was our mindset going into it, is like, hey, look, we put these songs out on Chasing Shadows. We liked them. But when we got up to David explained, like, hey, they're good songs, but they need this, and this. They need A, B, and C. And after we had worked with that, and the mindset was, okay, I'm going to do this. I might not like this part, but we're going to do it. And I love this part, but I don't think it goes here. But we listened to them, and we, in my opinion, made an unbelievable EP out of the work that we had. And again, the work that we did before, obviously I'm biased to it. We liked it, but the songs now and the parts that he added make the songs flow better. And there's more parts to the song, which it's key in songwriting. And so it was a long process, but a great one. And I think you because like you said, we know each other. You have both CDs, and you can see the difference in the songs.
Sure, definitely can. Now I'm going to guess that you've done this, and tell me if I'm wrong. But when you played them back next to each other, which I'm going to guess you did with every song, can you now not listen to the Chasing Shadows stuff at all?
I never listen to the Chasing Shadows. But I will tell you this, though. So I have when I go out to cut the grass, or I'm in my car, I have my iPod that I plug in. The other day, it's funny, the original Off the Chasing Shadows, Red Rain came on, and it's like, wow. It's such a good, because Red Rain is sort of one of my favorites on both CDs.
Okay.
But I can tell the difference. I can see like where our writing started and where David took the writing, and so now as we move forward, we can write sort of that sort of that way. And again, let me kind of specify that. David had told us we are what's called an A-B writer. So, we write, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus. We did a lead, and then we did a verse, and then we were out. In David's version of the song, it's verse, then a chorus, then a verse, maybe shorter verse, then there's a bridge going into the lead, then there's maybe a bridge coming out lead, or you break it down, and then you maybe you finish up with another verse and song out. So there's probably like 5 parts to his songs, and there was only 2 parts to our songs.
Okay.
So that's the big difference.
Sure. So you'll take that forward then as you write now and kind of use the proven formula? Is that what you're saying?
Well, that's yes, we are. We're trying to incorporate that formula. I mean, you're always stuck in a certain mode, but yes, we are actually writing right now. We have about 5 or 6 new songs we've been working on, but yes, we are using that formula to try to replicate his way of getting the songs and make them more friendly, more radio friendly, or when I say radio, to anybody who wants to play them on podcast or internet radio, but to make the songs flow better. Yeah, it's very important.
Sure. Now, the EP is available pretty much anywhere that people get music these days, whether it's Amazon or Spotify or wherever. Specifically with Spotify, what are the positives or negatives to that? Because as a new band, it's not like you have, U2 type history to where people are gonna listen to it and still buy it. It's kind of you got to really win them, and it's free to start. You know what I mean?
It is, and what are the pluses? The pluses are our music gets out to people who may never listen to that genre and may come across our song. The pluses are the people who do like the hard rock, heavy metal, melodic rock will get to hear it. It's a win. For a band like us, it's a win-win. Do we get paid? No. That's just the reality of life. It's like, and I think we had discussed one that was like 0.00. It was, I think, 0.002 cents. Now I think it's 0.001 cent for a play. But if you're in it for that, if you're in it for the money and try to find the best way, your band will die out very quickly.
Sure.
We do this because we still love doing it. We're a little older than some of the bands that come out, but we love what we do. We love being on stage. We love performing. And if you don't love those things and you're only in it to try to make as much money and try to get a money grab or a fame grab, then your star will shine out quickly.
Sure.
So it's all anytime. So the bottom line is anytime we get anybody who can hear one of our songs, it's a win-win.
Definitely. Now, Sammy, we've talked in the past about how difficult it has been for Red Rain to get gigs, local gigs, out where you're from. Is that any easier now that you've got a more professional team around you, or is it still a fight every single day?
I think it's gotten harder. No, it has not eased up here. However, we just, with Chip being our PR, and he's fighting every day, we did just finish a show with Lita Ford in this area, so that was good. So, yeah, the name is getting out more. But when it comes to like bars or some of the venues here, it's still a struggle. It's still a fight. And the funny part is, Chris, is and I don't want to come off being conceited in this point, but we've been very fortunate in the fact that anybody who's listened to the EP loves it.
Sure.
So we just have to keep building blocks into getting the EP into the right people's hands to get us. Richmond's not the town for that.
Right, definitely. Now,
I'm assuming, in your area, I don't know, maybe it flourishes more in your area, but hard rock in general in this area is a tough sell in general. So if you're playing covers, you might get into 3 or 4 bands, but if you're playing originals, forget about it. They don't even want you.
Yeah, pretty much the same here. Either that or if you throw a turntable up there and just start twisting knobs, then you could be a huge hit.
Yeah, that's great. Playing somebody else's music on a turntable and you're getting paid for it. That's beautiful.
Exactly, man. Well, dude, you mentioned the Lita Ford gig. It wasn't just a gig; it was your CD release party. So talk about that. Talk about the experience and the big crowd and whatnot that you must have played in front of.
Yeah, we had a great show. Right. So what we did is we had the CD sort of on the shelf, waiting for the right moment, and we found it. So we were fortunate enough to play a show with Lita Ford in here in town, and we did release the CD. Again, a lot of great feedback. We won over a lot of people, got a lot of emails. I open up my email to anybody, and I'll open it here. It's redraininfo@gmail.com because I love to hear from people whether they like the CD or they don't like the CD. Maybe ways to improve, which we probably won't change our style, but I just love hearing from people. So we got great feedback. We played the show. We had a merchandise table. The whole band went out after the show, met a lot of people, a lot of positive feedback. We did release the CD December 2nd. It was released not only at the show, but again, like you had mentioned, on all the downloadable music sites, which is iTunes, Spotify, Google, Amazon. And I think somebody told me we were on iHeartRadio. I didn't even know we were on iHeartRadio. But yes, so it was a great experience. We won over more fans, and that's what we're going to have to do is every time we play a show, we're going to have to knock them down one at a time.
Sure. Now, do you think that people that are buying music today, like they should the new Red Rain EP, do you think that they take the time to actually absorb the music the way that we did when we were kids? Because dude, I guarantee you, who's a Van Halen fan, when you picked up a copy of Balance or whatever, you read every word in the booklet and you listened to it nonstop for a month. You really took the time to absorb it. Do you think that that's kind of a lost art in today's world?
So I'll take that by two parts. The first part is, did you just say Van Halen Balance?
Yeah.
Dude, I'm a David Lee Roth fan. I don't have Balance anywhere in my CD collection at all.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I know you did. That's why I'm taking that part. But to go back, I'll take Van Halen 1. Yeah, I studied the album. I looked inside. I looked at everything. I was 10 years old at the time. When it's funny. I don't think people take the time to listen to the music like we did. No, I don't. I think but the good thing is, I think in music is what grabs a person, they'll gravitate towards. But that can be good or bad as well. If you hear a good song, then they're going to go, oh my God, to use, I don't even know any new bands, but one of the new bands that's out there, they're like, oh, this is a great song, so they'll look up that band. Maybe, I don't think they go out and look in today's generation. Will go out and look to see other bands that are similar. Like when I started listening to Van Halen, I was like, first of all, Van Halen blew me away, but then I started listening to other bands that were in that genre at a younger age. Like, wow, if this band rocks, maybe Black Sabbath might rock, or maybe Iron Maiden might not be, all those other bands that rock. So. No, I don't think that they take the time. And I also think, and as well as I do, the business has changed. The corporate's only going to push down what they think will sell, whether it's, pretty boys, pretty girls, or just pop music.
Right. But it's almost a sad thing. I'll just tell you, I get 50 discs a week. Easily 50 discs a week. So there's no possible way I can absorb all of it. But what I end up doing a lot of times is I just kind of put it in a folder and I run it on, shuffle.
Right.
And a lot of the time, and I do mean a lot of the time, I don't necessarily, nothing grabs me, but then, I'll listen back later and it will grab me, because the one thing that I think is missing today, and this is my own personal opinion, because music is so disposable now, is that it kind of takes the fact of what mood you're in when you're listening to it out of it. If you miss it that 1 minute because you're just not in like a hard rock mood and you're listening to something hard rock and you skip it, for most anybody, it's gone now. And it really does seem like it absolutely has stunted the growth of new bands, and that's why you have less and less bands that can single-handedly sell 10,000 tickets every city they go to.
You're right. and again, we talk about this, and I thought being a Van Halen fan, but it's funny, when people, I am such a huge fan. People are like, oh, what's your favorite song? It's got to be off Van Halen 1. Well, see, my favorite Van Halen song is off Women and Children First, and it's called In a Simple Rhyme.
All right.
Now, if you don't take the time to listen to the album, you're never going to find it. But that song has got a lot in it. It's a lot of pieces. No, nobody takes that time. They'll go take Women and Children First. They'll listen to And Cradle Will Rock, or they'll listen to Everybody Wants Them, because those are the hits, and that's what they hear on the radio. You're right. I don't think people will buy a disc and take the time to listen to every song. Mm-hmm. And that was really the one thing about Van Halen that really caught my attention was when I heard Van Halen 1, I love every single song on there, but I took the time to listen to them, and I listened to them over and over again. And even today, I still find parts and pieces in that record or that CD that are like, wow, man, that just still blows me away. And I think people miss that. I think you're right. I think songs are disposable, and I think there's more one-hit wonders or one-hit songs out there today than there ever have been.
Sure, definitely is. All right, man, I'm going to give you a scenario. You're only allowed to pick one, and you're not allowed to find some way to work around.
Don't do a death, marry, kill with me with Van Halen.
No, not a death. No, it's Van Halen versus Red Rain, more or less.
Okay.
You have one of two options. You can either have huge success with your band, but you can never again listen to a single note of Van Halen, or you can open for Van Halen, and Eddie will come out and jam with the band.
Yeah.
But, well, that's it. Or you can have just the single show. You can have one single show with Eddie Van Halen jamming with your band on Not That Way, or you can have huge success with the band, but you're never allowed to listen to Van Halen again. Go.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you what. I would obviously A is the perfect choice of having the band have huge success.
Right.
So since I've heard Van Halen over and over and over again, I'd have to go with huge success. But I'll tell you what, you surprised me because I thought what you were going to say was you could either do that or B is you could open for Van Halen but it had to be Sammy Hagar singing.
Well, you would do that too, and don't lie and say you wouldn't.
I'd do that in a heartbeat.
You would do that with Sharon singing? Hell, you'd do that with Wolfie singing. You wouldn't care.
You know what? You're right. I'd probably do it anyway. But Sharon, I'd have to think about that a little bit more. But no, I mean, listen, if Sammy was singing with Van Halen and they asked us to open, I'd be like, where do you need me? What time? Obviously.
Stop it.
So I think I got off easy on that question.
If there was a chance that Eddie Van Halen might touch your cymbals, you would be there, no matter where it was.
Absolutely. Listen, there was a show here in Richmond years ago. We have a thing called Innsbruck Series. It's an outdoor series. But they were bringing in sort of the older bands, like Leonard Skinner's played here and Cheap Trick's played here, which, Bub and I had opened for in another band, but stuff like that. But I got a call from one of the guys over there. This is back in, I'm talking 2006. The guy says, listen, don't get excited. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I got somebody I think you want to open for. And I'm like, all right, well, who? And he goes, does the name David Lee Roth mean anything to you? And I was like, dude, don't be playing with me because that could have been my last show. And luckily, or not luckily, but unfortunately, he came, which was great. I went to see the show, but they brought in an opener because the way the venue worked is that they brought in an opener, they wouldn't put a local act in front.
Right.
But you're right. And David Lee would have had to touch anything. I just shared the stage with him. That probably would have been it for me.
Nice. Well, thankfully it's not it, man, because you got to carry on. We have this new EP just called Red Rain. It is available anywhere and everywhere. So, Sammy, where can people go to find out more about Red Rain and pick up the disc and all that good stuff?
Sure. So the disc is on all the downloadable sites, and again, I think we mentioned them, but iTunes, Google, Amazon, again, iHeart. There's on Spotify. If you'd like to find out more about the band, we're at www.redreignband.com. We're also on Facebook at Red Rain, REIGN Band, and we're on Twitter at Red Rain Band. And again, anybody wants to say hello or need some information and all that stuff, please feel free to email me at redraininfo@gmail.com.
Awesome. Well, dude, you know the drill. We always let the artist pick a closing track from their new disc and tell us a story about it. So what should we wrap this up with?
I tell you, I'm going to go with, because I've done this before, and I'm going to go with something that I like. It's one of my favorites, even though I believe all the 5 songs are awesome. But the one that really gets my motor running, we're going to end this one with the title track. We're going to end it with Red Rain.
All right, well, let's do it right now. This is Red Rain with Red Rain from Red Rain right here on your Classic Metal Show.